Hey, it's Gene. I just got done doing most of my lard. I have a fairly large yard. Sorry, when I work out, my brain kind of like slows down a little bit until I get something in it. Oh my gosh. Uh, we had to talk about Ruben Ammonren. Those who actually watch my channel know that I've been very slow to get rid of our previous managers. Um, I was for Jose. I wanted him to stay. Ole was kind of like I was on the fence because it got to the point now that the players just look at him as a friend and not really the coach. And I think that they just took advantage of that. We had some great things under Ollie, but we couldn't win the big games when we really needed it. We had great times like in Paris and all that. I always liked Van Gaal. I thought we played Turgent type of football back then, but we were always a challenge to do something. Ralph, you can't really give him any grief either way because the players were not going to play for him. It was clear Ronaldo was not going to play for him. And Ten Hag, he basically, he's probably one of the reasons why we're at right now because of the players he bought. They weren't good. They were not good enough for the amount of money we paid for them, and also getting rid of some players that probably shouldn't have left, like McTominay and some other places. So, Stephen Howson today did like he was going to be the assistant under Rumen and give him a tweak to his system and tell us where players should play. And I'm with him, but I think that sometimes, as smart as he is, as smart as a lot of these other people online are, he talked about inverted fullbacks and all that. I said we did it under Ten Hag. We've done that under Rumen Emran already. You notice many times that Delo would always get to the middle of the field when he'd be wide open at that point. So he would actually be inverting into the midfield. So I think that's part of his plan anyway, to actually have to make the midfield a little bit more solid. The problem is we've had too many injuries and different type of players playing that position. Ahmad doesn't play it well there. He doesn't. He isn't as bad as Delo has been. He doesn't do that. I've never seen him invert to where the ball goes over the top and he's on the way to the goal. And I know Delo in the last 2 or 3 years, even under Ten Hag, he has been alone going in on goal. Got one goal, I think, and a couple times he missed it. Would have won those games for us. We don't see that so much out of Ahmad. Now he maybe doesn't understand the position that much, but I think that Amran wants that. He wants the inverted fullbacks to come into the middle of the field at different times in the game when the other team isn't looking for it. Our biggest problem right now is probably confidence, but also we've got Bruno playing in the wrong position, and I think that just really destroys our team. He can be great with some passes, but he's not a midfielder. Everybody knows he's not a midfielder, and you cannot put him in the pivot like that, regardless who he's with. He had the ability when he had Eriksson, him, and Casemiro there, but that was a 4-3-3, right? But still, he had those players around him that held onto the ball well enough. We lack that. The thing is, and I'm just going to say it, I wish we'd have got Kevin De Bruyne to come in to play in the midfield because we have no clear midfielder other than Kobe, and Kobe's going through his whatever at this point. I still think that he is a talent, but he is slow, and he doesn't recover very quickly, and he did that against Brentford. Again, we're trying to get the second goal to tie the game and all that stuff, but as soon as he loses the ball, he has got to make sure that ball doesn't go any further, and he allowed the pass to get going. He should have taken the foul. I don't think he was on a yellow card at that time. He could have just took a professional foul there, give him a free kick, and then get us back on defense. So we still had a chance to get a point out of that game. So that's on him, and he has to understand that he has to be that way. But I'll be honest with you, when he came in, I thought we played a hell of a lot better. Again, they're holding back. They're trying to protect their goal, their lead. They're going to give us opportunities. So it wasn't. He was okay, right? But it's clear that he's a real midfielder, whereas Bruno is not. So I listened to what Steven said, and he said putting Bruno up front or closer to the goal, he thinks that's a good thing. And he just talks about, he talked about Mazzarelli. Now, Mazzarelli at this point, you can't trust him to be there for every game. We're only playing one game a week, and he's been hurt twice now. So you can't really trust him to be there. Now, a player like Mazzarawi, if he's talking about that type of profile of player, I agree with him. If you're going to play with three at the back and you're going to play, like he says, basically a 2-2, like a 4 in the middle, right? That's an interesting way to go with it, right? I mean, obviously at this point, I think, do I think that his system could win in the Premiership? It could if you have a real midfielder, and we don't have that. If we really had a really good, solid midfielder, and then a destroyer next to him, and that could be Ugarte, I think it would be fine. I do. And then maybe you'd have to look at maybe taking Maguire out of a team and get a little more speed in the back three. I think that that's another thing that we lack. And, he talked about taking out the goalkeeper and putting Lemons in. These are all fine things, but what he's talking about, the inverted fullback, we already have it. And you've seen it many times. We saw it on Ten Hag under a different system, and I've seen it under Ruben Amorim as well. At this point, I think, and he'll probably never do it, I think if he gets the sack, and that's probably going to happen at this point, I don't know. I mean, Sunderland is just flying right now. I don't know for sure that we're going to get anything from them at home. Hopefully that the fans will come up and be supporting the team. But if we go down in that game at home, it could be very bad. That could be the end for him. We're not going to go to Liverpool if we've just lost Sunderland and we only have 7 points after 7 games. I don't think they can keep him. Okay, as much as Ratcliffe likes him, apparently, I think he'll probably get rid of him. And then we'll have to deal with the other thing that comes after that. If Southgate comes into the team, he'll go back to a 4-3-3. Pretty sure. So then you got Bruno up playing up in a 10 like that, a normal 10, and then you have a 4-3-3, right? So you would have. Oh, what did he do there? Oh yeah, that's right. I'm losing my mind. We probably would lose one of our. Well, how would we do it? I think Dorgu would still be in the back. You would have De Ligt and Euro probably right next to each other. And then on the other side, you would have, it could be Shaw, it could be Delo. It'd probably be Shaw. I would think, because I think if Southgate comes in, he's probably put Shaw there. Still the same players that are giving us issues, and he probably would have, who knows? I would think it would put Kobe, Casemiro, and Bruno, and then you would have Sesko and Mbumbo and Cunha up top. And I think a lot of people put that online anyway. They said, imagine if we had that team, that we'd be so much better. And maybe in the way we play in the Premiership, maybe it would be better for us. At some point, I don't think it's the system. I don't. I think it's the players, and they're not doing what they need to do. But sometimes the manager has to take responsibilities. You can't have slow-footed center backs in there when you're playing way up and you're not really playing a high line. You're sitting yourself 10 yards in your own half, and you allow a player to go behind you. You can't do that. So, and there was 2 times that happened. It happened to Ligt as well. Not as bad as it happened to Maguire, and if you're going to do that, your goalkeeper has to be out probably 15 yards further. So if the ball goes over the top, he could come out and do something about it. Now, I don't think he could have got to that, but he would maybe gave him something to look at. I mean, that's what happened to Martinez last time when Aston Villa came to Old Trafford. He got sent off because he took out Hoyland. I don't buy the conspiracy, because the same shit happened again. Mark Goldbridge is saying he's trying to lose his job so he get that $12 million. I'm like, okay. Let's go back. We play Chelsea. Chelsea is better than Brentford, probably, right? And another thing is, people online, people on their YouTube channels with huge amount of following, saying that Brentford is struggling. They're 17th, and they're relegation form. And I'm like, no, this is a team that lost 8 points being in front of people. And as a football man, you're like, or a coach, you're like, well, shit, we can fix that. We just won't. Once we get ahead, we're not doing any stupid shit anymore. We're gonna try to put the game away or whatever like that, and keeping ourselves open. And that's kind of like what they did. They just stayed back and made us beat them. And we really had no real opportunities in that game. Really, we had the one that should have been a red card for them, but that was like the only time that we looked like we were a football team. So that was made me more concerned than anything else, is that we didn't look like we're better than they are. I think Brentford is clearly better than 17th. They're probably a team in the top 10. They probably will end up in the top 10. The question is whether we will. And I think that if we don't do anything about it, they're going to come to Old Trafford and probably beat us as well. I mean, they have our number right now. So this idea that they're just a shitty team, that's insane. And there are a lot of guys that said, well, they're down there in 17th, but they're not really looking. This team was ahead in a lot of these games and lost it, right? And they almost happened to us. If Bruno would have got the penalty, maybe we go on and win that game, and they would have been another game that they were up ahead, and they could have dropped 3 points. And they've had 11 games or 11 points that they dropped. I mean, you think about that, they could clearly be in the top 6 if they didn't drop some of those games. You don't give them all of it, right? But if they get 4 more points, then they would be on 11 points. So yeah, they would be. I mean, so they would be up there in the top 6. So I think that was just a misnomer. Going on the road and the Premiership's not easy anyway, and we don't have the confidence to go in there and just take the ball and hold on to the ball. And this is another thing that Ruben was talking about, that he wanted to control the game more. And there was times earlier this year we're like, man, we are holding on to the ball pretty well, and we haven't done it. That game, it was like going back to almost on their ollie. We just allowed them to do stuff, and then we try to give them on the break. And then, I mean, City did it against us. They played our game that we used to play against them, and they came us on the break, get us on the break. So the biggest problem we have right now is that Bruno is playing out of position. Personally, he should not start against Sunderland. I think Kobe should get the start. If you want to put Casemiro next to him, if you're going to still play that same system, put Casemiro and Kobe next to each other. You can have the top 3. I think when they had the ball, I think they played well. Very close. Some of these crosses almost got the goals. Sesko is starting to show himself a little bit, but you got to give him the ball. You got to give that big man the ball, even at the feet or at the head. You have to give him the ball, and we're not really doing it yet. And then you got those 3 up front, and then Mazraoui's out, so you can't trust him. So you're going to probably have the same players. I probably would not start Maguire, but maybe at home against Sunderland you might. But I think you put De Ligt, Euro, and that's another thing we need to talk about. And I guess it's still going to be Shaw. I mean, there's nobody better than him, unfortunately. You might think about Heaven. Maybe you start with him, but he hasn't done anything. He hasn't played, so it's kind of hard. But I think it would be Shaw. And then you got Dorgu, and then probably Delo. But if Ahmad's back, it might be Ahmad. But you might move things around. You might put Ahmad. I don't like Ahmad in the 10th. I don't like him. He's not fast enough to play on the wing. So even if we get a new coach in and we go to 4-3-3, I still don't think that we have anybody that's fast enough out. I mean, Ahmad's not faster than Brian Mbambu. We don't have any. Even Garnacho, who's not lightning fast, but he gets in positions where wingers get. We don't have anybody like that. We haven't had any people like that for a long time. 5 years ago, Marcus was that way, but he put up so much weight on him, he lost him with that, but now he's taken that off, and he might be doing some other things that's not legal. And you see some of that coming back at Barcelona, but he's playing with better players, probably. So I don't know what's going to happen. We should talk about it in the comments. Do you think he's going to make it? Do you think he's going to make it to Liverpool at least? If he doesn't beat Sunderland, and it doesn't look like we have some progress there, and this is a team in the top 4. Sunderland's in the top 4. If he doesn't beat Sunderland, or let's say he wins, but we look horrible, that we have 4 or 5 penalties or some shit that shouldn't have been or whatever, I don't think they're not going to allow him to be led to the slaughter at Liverpool. And again, Liverpool has not played that well. Fortunately, they lost in extra time this time or added time. I think what we saw from Arsenal, I think we're seeing a team that probably should win the league. Um, I hate their fans and I hate them as players because I think they're a bunch of whining bitches. But everybody in soccer is. And we have our captain is probably the worst. Um, and I knew he was going to miss it. I fucking knew he was going to miss it when it took so long, and then they didn't send him off. And I still, to this day, I don't understand that. I saw it yesterday. Was it Napoli against AC Milan? Um, Not a similar thing, but a guy, ball came back, and the guy was going to it to knock it in, and he got pulled back. Not even close as bad as what happened against Brentford. You can't pull it. PGMLI said the reason why it's not a red because Brian did not have control of the ball. If you're being pulled back, what the fuck? It's like, do these players ever played the game? Did these referees ever played the game? Don't they understand when you pull it back, you're going to lose control of the ball? I'm getting pulled back, but I got to hold on to the ball, and now it's a red. I mean, if he's not touched, it's a fucking tap in. Now maybe he misses it, maybe. I'd rather he would have put it in, and Red is getting a fucking penalty. We played better when it was against 11 versus 11. I'm just saying we probably wouldn't played any better if it was 11 versus 10. Same thing happened against Napoli. Napoli didn't really do anything after they went down to 10. It's like, okay, now Napoli's going to come and at least get a draw out of this game. They did hit the bar, but they didn't. McComedy was just still, even though they lost, he was just a man versus men, boys versus men. I mean, he was crazy in there. And I just wish, there's a guy we could definitely have here. So, sorry how I look. It's been bad. It was a bad weekend for me sports-wise, but I like Ruben, and I think I wouldn't mind having a beer with him, but it comes. He's been here for almost a year now. And you look at the points he's got. It is relegation for him. No big club in the world would keep him around, and why should be the one that allows? And again, I was the guy that waits and waits and waits and waits on all these other coaches. Now, we was always in the top 4 or 5 or 6 with those other players. We went to 8 and all that, but we have always been, around, the top 6 with even playing poorly. So when we talk about standards going down, we have to understand the standards of the scope. If we can't win, then we got to find somebody else. The question is, who comes in for him? Now, I think because they're a bunch of misers, not so much because they bought players. I think they're going to wait till November because I think his pay packet would be less. So if we go, I don't know when we play Liverpool. Is it November or is it before November? I'd have to look, but he might. We might go out and win against Sunderland 4-0. But you can't trust it. You can't trust this team when we come back from international break or whatever. I don't know. We're going to play Brighton. They'll probably beat us. There is nobody that. I don't think we're going to get relegated. And I do think if a coach comes in there and he brings it back to 4-3-3, we'll probably do fine. We'll probably have really good games where we get a lot of goals. Because we do have players that can play in a normal 4-3-3. We do. You still can have the top 3 as a strike force. Because it's still, then it's just how you deal with the midfield. And if you put Bruno a little bit higher, almost like a diamond maybe, and he's right there, and he can actually feed those players, and then you have good midfield behind him, and that could be Kobe and Casemiro, even though they're not the fastest. But we're only playing one game of the week, so, and then you would still have a solid back line back there. And you got Euro versus De Ligt in the middle. I think that would be a decent size or a good thing. And then you could have Dorgu and Delo. And then if Mazraoui is doing good, you bring in Mazraoui to play there. Or he could play elsewhere. And then you got other players that come in. You got Leon. You got other players that can come in. I don't know. I know I'm just rambling because we suck. And So just let me know what you think. We'll talk about it in the comments. Thank you for listening. You guys have a good day. And I just get so much shit on me. As you get older, that shit happens. You know, when you're in your 15, 16, you get all the acne and shit. It happens when you get older, too. Just let you know. You guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you guys later.